Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is doing better than I am because I am day 5 into a sinus infection. I get a biannual sinus infection. Finally got to take this bike out. This is the 2023 Ducati Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak. There were other Pikes Peak long before this one. And I got to take it out on the track. And the track of choice for this one was Homestead Raceway down just south of Miami. It's a NASCAR track, but they have a road track inside, and I was able to take this bike and do a track day there a few days ago, and I was under the weather. You know, Ducati really calls this one, hey, this is a track-oriented bike, and I will agree that it is a track-oriented bike if you want it to be, and if you want to take a heavy bike like this out. So how did it do? It actually did surprisingly well, but maybe not so surprisingly because they really push out. You know, it really depends on what track you're going to take it to. If I were to take this to Jennings, which is a shorter technical track, I wouldn't take this at all. It would make no sense for me to take this bike to Jennings, for example. My buddy took it, Fabrizio, and he tore up Jennings with it, had an absolute blast. But here's the thing. So this bike is awesome. It has, reported 170 horsepower. Now it's probably around 150, 154 at the wheel, but it's still a lot of horsepower. The problem with this bike for a track bike is that it's heavy. And if you're gonna go to a track, everyone does everything they can in order to reduce the weight of their motorcycle. And that is one of the biggest drawbacks to this. Now, they're saying, okay, well, we put the Panigale brakes on the front. They had to do that. They didn't have a choice but to put the Panigale brakes on here because you're stopping something that weighs 100 plus pounds, 50 kilograms more than the Panigale and other track related bikes. So it's just a very heavy bike. It's bulky, it's very high, has a good center of gravity. Now, with all that negativity being said, it still was a lot of fun on the track, that has a bunch of straightaways and so on and so forth. I found it to be a little frustrating because of the weight. I had to start braking a little bit earlier, and the drive out of the corners, and some of it was my own fault, was a little lackluster because I'm lugging all of this weight out of the corners where someone else may have something with less horsepower, maybe 140, 150 horsepower, but they're pulling out with a bike that's 100, 120 pounds, 60 kilograms less than this one. So it's big, it's tall, it's bulky. However, let's look at the positive side. With this bike, I am able to get a knee down on the left side and on the right side, although I'm not as good on the right. It takes a lot for me to get a knee down on the right. I am still working on my body position for my right hand turns. So anyway, you could get the knee down. You don't even think about scraping the pegs on this one. The V4S, I was able to scrape the pegs on both sides. This one, I can't do it. The bike is probably capable of it, but if you have good body position, everybody knows you really won't need to put the pegs down, okay? Now, with that being said, and I say that a lot, the biggest drawback again is it's an expensive. If you're going to get a $30,000 bike and put it on the track, this wouldn't be the bike I would put on the track. So here's what it comes down to as far as I'm concerned. If you are looking at buying this bike just to put on the track, it's not a good choice. If you're looking for an all-arounder that you can tour with, it does. Have nice relaxing rides if you want, can do that too. And take to the track, bam, you hit the home run. It is a really good bike for that. Would I take this to the track again? Probably not, to be quite honest. You want a lightweight bike that you can rip around on and not have to worry. my brakes are like disintegrating on this thing because I was coming in really hot into corners in order to keep up. The rear end was coming up. It's easy to back this thing in. I'm not really good at all that, but you start leaning in and you tap on that rear brake and it's going to want to come around whichever direction you're going. So it's kind of easy to back this bike in if you're at that level. I'm not. I'm working on it, but I'm not really good at it. It's just that it's a lot of bike, so there's a lot of fear with me. Now, I did run it in race mode, so race mode worked really well. I made some adjustments, had to make some adjustments with the air pressure. I did run the stock tires that it comes with. These are the Pirelli Diablo Corso 4s, very sticky tires. The only time my ass end got a little squirrely was when I was coming in and kind of tapping on the brakes a little bit too early. As I was starting to lean, I tapped a little of the rear brake, kind of that backing it in kind of a thing, and I was getting a little bit of chatter, and that was because my rebound was just too slow. So we had to make some adjustments with preload to kind of fix the rebound problem, and we made an adjustment in the tires. I had a suspension guy help me with that, and after we did that, it worked out really well. So it's fun on the track. It just depends what track you're taking it to. Homestead is a lot of straightaways and then hard braking. It's just basically brake, turn, gun, brake, turn, pin, you know, pin, pin, pin. And it's not super technical, for example, like Jennings is, or maybe some of those really great tracks that a lot of you guys in the UK and in Europe get to use that I don't get to ride, or even COTA. I think this would be pretty cool to ride at Circuit of the Americas, but when I took a Multistrada on Circuit of the Americas, it was a fan lap, and it's not as fun because you have a lot of traffic. So overall, it's a great bike. It's certainly track capable. If you have an expert rider, I'm sure they can make mincemeat out of the track with this particular bike. But the biggest downside is its size and its weight. It's just too big and it weighs too much to be a common sense track bike. And that's really what it comes down to. So this is not the bike you buy specifically for the track. It's the bike that does everything that you can take to the track. And that's what makes the bike valuable. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. This is Rainbow. Please like, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.